All right. This is Radio St. George 100.3.
You're not there.
And Radio St. Oh my gosh. I think that's us. Holy cow. All right, it's Radio St. George 100.3 KXDI. It's time for Woody's Home and Garden Show and so much more. And I'm Artie. I'm the producer. Just want to make sure that everything is situated correctly.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's me.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. I hope we're on the air.
I hope so, too. If we're not, oh well.
Well, let's see. It's time for Woody's Home and Garden Show. You can call or text us at any time. It's 435-879-4100. You can also email your questions to radiostgeorge@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook. We're on YouTube and all that good stuff. So, yeah, we have it going on.
Artie, you look wonderful today, and I look particularly good, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I polished myself up this morning.
You did?
Yeah.
Did it take a lot of work?
Well, it does, because I only do it once a week, and, So I set the alarm, got up early, and, went down to the car wash and put myself in there and...
Wait, you work at the car wash every Saturday morning?
No, I don't work.
I thought you said...
I go in and get myself, with the brushes.
Okay. So do they have a special people rate?
Yeah, they do.
So you walk slowly while all the brushes and the foam and everything goes
and
crazy?
And then they have a bunch of teenagers that dry you off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
That must cost you a lot of money to do that every week.
No, it's free. They do.
They do it for free?
Yeah, they take pictures and advertise it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a new service.
You ought to try it.
I probably should.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, you know what? We are going to do something special today. Tell us what we're going to be doing today.
We're going to be over to Star Nursery, the one on Sunset. And we're going to be there from 12 to 2, and we're going to be answering questions and giving autographs. And if you come over and say that you heard us on the show, then we're even going to give you a little gift.
Yep, we have surprises and things. So if you'd like to come by and say hi, and most importantly, check out all of the wonderful deals that they have at
Star.
At Star.
They got their shipment of vegetables and so on.
Oh, wow.
So today would be a great day to buy vegetables over there.
It would be a perfect day to buy and say hi and check out.
I think the weather's finally going to break and warm up. And I think maybe I was to the point where I didn't want to see it rain again. I'd had enough rain, if that's something you can ever do.
I love rain. What are you talking about?
Here a couple of weeks ago when we had that cold snap, all the trees and things were starting to bud out, and that cold snap kind of stopped it, and that's a good thing.
Oh, is it really? Now tell me, why would it be?
If the tree buds out and the leaves start to, appear.
Okay,
are we good?
Hold on 1 second. I think we have to fix something here. Okay, hold on. Okay, sorry. Sorry.
We're not there.
No, I
our place on the internet. RadioSt.George.com.
KXDI, St. George. KXDI, St. George. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for Woody and Artie's Home and Garden Show. We did have some kind of a issue with the radio station, so we'd like to apologize to everyone who was inconvenienced. And we want to thank our good friend Sean Donovan. He is a part of KDXI and Radio St. George. He does a lot of wonderful things here at the radio station.
And he helped us get back on the air.
Absolutely. KDXI 100.3. And ladies and gentlemen, you can call or text us with your questions or your comments. It's 879-4100, or email your questions to Radio St. George and that's radiostgeorge@gmail.com. So, Woody, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
We're starting the show late, but it's better than ever. Or better than, what's that expression?
Later, yeah.
Better than
something.
Okay.
Today at noon, Artie and I are going to be out at Star Nursery on Sunset, and we're going to be sitting there looking like a couple of bumps on a dog.
Absolutely.
And we're going to give autographs, and we're going to talk to you and answer your questions. And if you tell us that you heard us on the radio, we're going to give you a little gift.
You're not kissing people this time, are you? 'Cause you were asked to leave last time.
I know. Well, it was because the cat. I kissed the cat. They have 2 cats at every star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love cats.
I know you do.
It'll be a lot of fun. That's why I'm going.
Yeah, you want to see the cats?
Absolutely. So, what's going on at Star Nursery then this week?
Well, they've got their vegetable shipments in, and it's the first weekend in 2 or 3 that the weather's good and they're expecting a big crowd. They're having their sale on vegetables. And so I thought it would be a good time for us to be over there.
Well, sounds fun.
Yeah, I think it will be.
All right.
I think it will be.
Cool.
And,
well, we have an abbreviated show today.
No, we're going to 10.
We're going to 10?
Oh, don't you think we should?
Well, you know what? Why don't we just do a 24-hour shift?
Okay.
Want to do that?
Yeah, I'm good for that.
Okay. And you can talk that long about gardening and home repair?
Yeah, but if I nod off, why, just ignore me.
Okay. Well, tell us what's on the show today.
Okay, we're going to finish up on the subject of lawns. We're going to talk about the maintenance of lawns. And then I'm going to tell you about a project I did at my house. And then we're going to jump over to the home side of the program, and I'm going to answer some questions about wiring in your house, electrical wiring.
Okay.
So that's what's on the agenda.
Perfect.
Last week we talked about planting lawn. We got it planted. We got it germinated. We got the mowing going on. Okay, how do you maintain that lawn throughout the summer here in St. George with the high temperatures? And the secret to having a good lawn, of course, you have to fertilize and do all that stuff when you need to do it. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is, and especially the most important thing, is the watering schedule. And we're going to assume that you have a sprinkler system with a control box.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just like you do, Artie.
Yeah, and you helped me fix my control box.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
And talking to the Utah State Extension agent, he said we do things backwards in St. George. We water our lawns every day and we water our gardens every 3 days, and it should be the other way around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
But the thing is, starting this time of year, you have the opportunity to train your lawn. Okay? And that means if you have a new lawn or an existing lawn, doesn't matter, and you water it every day, the root system's only going to be so deep because it doesn't have to go down to find water. You're putting water on it every day, okay? So the root system, let's say, is 1 inch deep. It doesn't need to be any deeper, and all that's wonderful except for 2 things. If there's a really hot day and you miss watering, it's going to really hurt the lawn. And number 2 is you're going to use a lot of water. So the way that you should do it is to water at no more than every other day. In fact, every 3rd day. And so, how do you train the lawn to that situation? And you do it by starting out now before it gets hot. I don't mean this afternoon or anything, but say in a week or 2 we're up in the 75 degree thing. You water every 3rd day, and instead of watering for 5 minutes, you water for 10.
Okay.
And what happens is that water goes down through the lawn and it goes deeper because you watered more in the single session. It goes deeper, and the lawn has to extend its roots down to find that water.
Okay.
So pretty soon, instead of a root system that's 1 inch deep, you have a root system that's 3 inches deep. Okay? And then you maintain that throughout the year. You should never water more than every other day on your lawns. And you water, you put the time you put on the system, the time that the water is running is twice as long. So if you normally water every day for 5 minutes, you water every 2 days for 10 minutes. And it makes that root system go down. And then when it gets hot and it's in trouble, it does a lot better.
Oh, good.
One of the things that happens is when you miss water or it's one of those 112-degree days, the lawn gets kind of a dark patch on it where it's needing some water.
Okay.
Turns kind of a bluish dark color.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. And that's water. It needs some water. If you get areas where it dies and it turns yellow and you have patches like that, that's grubs. You've got an insect underneath there.
Huh.
So that's when you go over and you pull up some of it. And if it comes right up really easy, it means the grubs have eaten off the roots.
All the roots. Oh, my goodness.
Okay. So if you're going to reduce your water and have a really good-looking lawn, you want to water it no more than every other day. Okay. And you know what? I would start out with maybe 5 minutes a zone, and then as the weather gets hotter, you can increase it.
Okay. And what's the advantage of having it watered overnight versus the day?
Well, because during the day, a lot of it evaporates.
Oh, okay.
And but during the night, I would don't water it at midnight. If you're going to water and save the evaporation, start about 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and that way you're not going to get mildew on the lawn. If you water too early, there's a spore that comes along on the air, and it gets in the water that's sitting on the leaves, and it starts to do its thing, and pretty soon you have mildew.
Is it true that some cities recommend to water at a certain time, or to kind of like, I don't know, half the city water at 4 o'clock in the morning, the other half at 5, just stagger it?
I'm not sure about that, but I am sure that St. George City tells you not to water, I think, between 10 and 7 or something during the day when it's hot, when the temperature's way up. So, and the other issue is sometimes when you try to water and all your neighbors are watering at the same time, your pressure is so far down that you're in trouble. So you have to kind of adjust it around. So, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about and mention was mowing.
Okay.
And some people mow with the grass catcher. And
that's what I do. I have one of those.
Yeah, catch the grass, go put it in the garbage can or in a garbage bag.
I throw it over, my neighbor's fence.
Throw it over your neighbor's fence.
She's a snowbird.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not going to know.
She doesn't know. Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
She'll be living here soon.
And then other people have mulching mowers. They have a different blade on the mower.
Really? There's such a thing?
There is.
So what does that do?
Well, I've done my lawn that way for about 15 years. I don't catch the grass. The mulching mower is configured differently so that when it whirls around, it cuts the grass into 1/4-inch pieces.
Okay.
It doesn't cut it into an inch piece or an 1.5 inch piece that falls in the lawn. It cuts it in 1/4-inch, and the pieces fall into the lawn and they become compost for the root system.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And I've done it here in St. George for 15 years in the hot summer. I haven't had a grass catcher for a long time, and my lawn looks pretty good.
Yeah, your lawn always.
Yeah, it looks really good. So I would, if you haven't tried it before, you don't have to have a special mower. You have to have a special blade, and blades are $10. And go get a blade that's the right length. You measure the blade on your mower, and it's probably 20 inches or 21 inches. And then go buy a universal blade that's a mulching blade. And take the catcher off of your mower and save yourself a lot of work and just mow instead of catching the grass.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah. And it actually becomes fertilizer for your lawn.
Well, Okay, I may be jumping ahead, but you know what?
You wouldn't do that, would you?
I'm starting to see signs of grass growing, and I'm wondering if those are weeds because there are certain areas
That grow faster.
that grow faster.
Right.
So what the heck's going on? And I'm thinking I should get the lawnmower out here pretty soon because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that would be.
What's going on?
That would be fine to mow it. Some parts of your grass do grow faster, and it's because maybe they got watered differently. Maybe the rain hit one area more than the other. Maybe you've got some fertilizer in that area that's down underneath.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Woody. I'm actually kind of paranoid. It's like, oh my goodness, this part is starting to grow. I should go to Walmart or Star and get a whole bunch of seed and spread it around all the other parts. But I'm completely wrong. I'm kind of jumping the gun, correct?
Yeah. When I moved into my place, it was new and it had been built, but the lawn was there. And after a month or two, I had one area that was always in trouble. It was kind of yellow and it just wouldn't grow. Everything else did. And so I got out the shovel and I started to dig in there. And lo and behold, there was a piece of sheetrock down about 3 or 4 inches that was sitting underneath this lawn.
That's what happened.
And, it was like 2 feet square, the sheetrock.
Wow.
And I dug it up and removed it and repaired the patch there, and everything was fine. So sometimes there's little treasures, in your lawn sitting there waiting for you.
Wow.
So.
Huh. Well, I have a lot more lawn questions. As our wonderful show progresses. And we've talked a lot about these things since we started the show Thanksgiving weekend. But we're going to be revisiting a lot of this stuff because a lot of this stuff is a great refresher for people.
Right.
But,
and that's why it would be wonderful for our listeners to call in with the questions so that we know that we're talking about the things that interest them.
You bet.
They have, issues.
435-879-4100, 435-879-4100. Call or text us with your questions if you so desire. You can also email us. It's radiostgeorge@gmail.com, and I'm monitoring that email account even as we speak. So anyway.
One of the other things I wanted to mention about lawns is the height of your mower makes a difference.
It does.
It does. And I usually, in the spring, lower mine down so that the lawn's shorter. Because I think a lawn looks a lot better if it's kind of short. If it's healthy, it really looks good. But that being said, in June, when the temperatures, get up around 90, 95 degrees, I raise the mower again, and I'll raise it a notch, maybe 2 notches, and I let the lawn grow longer because if it's longer, you have less evaporation, and it takes less water.
Well, I'm really embarrassed to admit the following. Before I bought a lawnmower, I had someone come over, some landscapers come over and help me with my grass. And I honestly thought this, and now I feel absolutely ridiculous after what you just said on the air. I thought that they kept my lawn long for the reason, for job security for them.
Out of laziness or whatever.
Well, not laziness, but just so they could frequently come more often so they could earn more money.
Yeah.
So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that was my stupid assumption, but that
they were helping you, trying to save your water.
That's exactly what they're doing, and instead, I was thinking they were ripping me off by not cutting my lawn short, so they would have to come back more often.
And then in the fall, about October, I lowered the mower back down.
Okay.
Really? They actually have adjustments on these mowers, Artie.
Well, I'm sure I have one on mine.
Yeah, it probably does.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about a project that I did at my house. Artie helped me with it. And I had decided to cover my back lawn in gravel and also the side lawn along the driveway. So I had some gravel delivered from Star Nursery, about 14 tons of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That much.
Yeah.
Wow.
28,000 pounds of gravel. I bought some black fabric and put it over the lawn, and then I put the gravel on it. Wheelbarrow. Yeah, you and I did.
Okay.
You remember?
Oh, I think I was there.
Yeah, you were there.
I was sweating.
Yeah.
I was sweating like crazy.
So this week, the gravel's been down for a couple of weeks now. And this week, the first thing I did is I went over to Star and I looked around and I bought a tortoise to put on my back lawn.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
You remember Elvis.
Oh, Elvis.
Yeah.
Elvis. Okay.
Now we have Harvey.
Oh, did you get a stone turtle?
I did.
Oh, because tortoise. You were talking about that. They have really cool lawn ornaments at Star.
They do. They have lizards.
You did get one.
Yeah.
But you had to, did they have some kind of a crane or something? Because this thing was what, 225, 300 pounds? 250
pounds.
Oh, my goodness.
They had to take a forklift to put it in the back of my vehicle.
So
So I bought it.
So how'd you get it out?
Well, I got a bunch of my neighbors. There was 4 of us, and I backed into the backyard, and they had to carry it about 10, 15 yards onto the gravel and then put him down. And
oh, my goodness.
He's there to stay.
I can't wait to see that.
Oh, it's great. He's huge. He's huge.
What other decorations do they have at Star that are like that?
Well, they've got a lot of different resin ones, and then this particular guy, Harvey, is made out of concrete, and concrete lasts really, really good out in your yard.
But they have tons of concrete decorations.
But the problem is lifting it. It's heavy.
Oh,
yeah, I have a concrete fountain, and it's heavy in the fall when I empty it and so on. So I've got Harvey out there in the middle of the back lawn.
I can't wait to see it.
And I've got the fountain set up, but I had a problem in the front where the gravel's along the driveway because my lawn was the same height as my driveway, and I put a couple inches of gravel on there, and what do you think happened?
Oh, it tore up the lawn probably.
No. What happened is the gravel keeps coming out on the driveway.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so it's a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess. And it doesn't look good. And I'm thinking, what on earth can I do to keep that gravel confined to where it's supposed to be? Mm-hmm. And so I used my little brain and I went over to Lowe's and I bought pavers. Do you know what a paver is? It's a solid brick without holes in it. You know how a brick will have holes in it and pockets? This is a solid brick, and these were concrete. And they're the terracotta in color to match my house trim and so on.
So kind of like a little wall or a little containment.
So I bought I think it was 85 of them. They're 50 cents a piece. Uh-huh. And I bought a bag of mortar, and I bought a little container of dye for the mortar because I want it to match the brick. I don't want it to be gray. I want it to be red.
So you picked that up. You installed the wall.
I put an edge down my driveway, and the brick are like 2¼ inches high, and I put it from the house all the way to the end of the driveway.
Oh, wow.
And let it sit for a day for it to dry. That mortar will actually hold that brick. And I put the mortar not between the bricks, but underneath the bricks. And then you take a hammer or a rubber mallet and you tap the bricks into the mortar and you make sure they're all level, the same level.
Oh, that's
And
neat.
then it helps to make sure that you're straight. You have a straight line. It looks a little better if it's straight.
Well, Woody's place, he's really done a fantastic job with xeriscaping with the gravel. He tore up his lawn. He basically, I think he capped off the sprinkler system, and you put gravel down. And also you have a bird feeder that we talked about in the past. You have bird houses that we've talked about in the past. And then you have those raised gardens with tomatoes with the walls of water. Yeah, we've talked about that in the past. So yeah,
my wife said I always need a project to do, and I have too much energy. I also the last week put in a beehive.
You did? You really?
Yeah, I bought a mason bee house. Do you know what a mason bee is?
I have no idea.
A mason bee are these little teeny bees. They look like a baby honeybee. We call them garbage bees because they're around the parks and the garbage cans.
Oh, okay, yes, we've all seen those.
Okay, well, they sell a little house that has tubes of bamboo, and the tube at the end is open, and I think it has to be 2½ inches deep. But they sell them. There's all kinds of different designs.
And because they're attracted to garbage, you just put all of your garbage into the little beehive?
Not quite. But they cost about $20 on Amazon.
Okay.
And you're supposed to put them on a surface that faces east so that it gets the morning sun.
Oh, cool.
And put them about 65 inches at least off the ground. And these mason bees come and they lay eggs in the tubes, and they fill the tubes up and seal them with some sort of secretion. And then the young hatch out and they're on their way.
Wow.
But the mason bee pollinates 5 times more flowers than the honeybee does in a day.
Really?
Yeah.
It does?
And they're a great alternative because you don't have to have the honeybee hive and a suit and a can of smoke and all that kind of stuff. They're not aggressive. They don't have stingers.
They don't.
No, and so they're just wonderful pollinators.
You can get a good amount of honey out of them.
Yeah, no, they don't make honey.
Oh.
That's the one thing. If you're after honey, these bees don't do honey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do jam.
They do.
They do homemade bread and jam. No, they don't do honey, so you're not going to get any honey. But if you have a large garden and you maybe think that your pollination isn't what it should be, put up one of these little hives.
Okay.
And they come and they move into them, and it works really well.
So remind the folks what's the purpose of that. Forgive my ignorance. Forgive my ignorance.
What do you mean?
What's the purpose of doing that? Bringing in the bees.
Well, it's just to get better pollination on your flowers, or vegetables, so that the fruit sets.
Okay.
Tomatoes, where you have a problem with the setting, you get the blossoms, but you never get a tomato.
Okay.
That's when you need some bees.
So the bees are helpers.
Yeah, they
You
are.
explained it perfectly before, but I'm just, I've no idea about all this stuff. So that's why that's why you're the star and I'm the producer, because I have absolutely no idea what's going on here.
Well,
So,
Artie,
and I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot from you. So.
in school, they used to talk about the birds and the bees.
Oh,
That's what they were talking
so
about.
I actually missed that
Yeah,
day.
you missed it. Yeah.
I'm in big trouble.
Anyway, the point I wanted to make about that project of mine at the house was, if you think outside the box, so to speak, you can do a lot of things and use unique ways to solve a problem. And, I got into the gravel, and then that created a problem. And so I got the payers, and I've solved the problem. Plus, my driveway and front yard looks a lot better than it did.
It really does.
Yeah.
It was back-breaking work. But you know what? I needed the exercise, and I enjoyed helping you.
I appreciate
it
you
looked
coming.
really good.
Yeah, it was great. Artie was there for 6 minutes, and then he went home.
That's true.
No, I do. I appreciate the help.
I took one look at it, and it's like, okay.
You said, it's too much work.
Oh, I've got to go to the hospital for some reason.
Yeah, I feel a stroke coming on. So, anyway, any other questions, Artie, that you've got?
Well, okay, of course I do. I'm worried. I have this little section of grass, and we've talked about it a little bit before on the show, so maybe we can refresh people's memories. I have this little corner that last year it turned brown, absolutely brown. It was this really weird straight line. It was I don't know how to describe it.
When I was out at your house the other day, I looked at that, and what we need to do is the problem is that corner is low. It's low the grade, and you're getting too much water in it.
Well, I'm wondering now. Okay, you're the expert. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm wondering. Okay, so what he did, he helped me turn off. He capped one of the sprinklers because the theory was that little section was getting too much water.
Right.
So that was one theory. And so, this little corner was such a mess that I actually dug it all up, and I thought I would, throw on some seed and everything. That didn't work because I have no idea what I'm doing. That's why I'm listening to the Woody's Garden Show and home show every Saturday morning at 8, so I can learn all about this.
When you did that last year, that was the right thing to do. The problem was you didn't put enough dirt in there when you planted it.
No, because I have no idea what I'm doing. That's why.
It's got to be higher in grade because it's not getting drainage. Well, it's the water sitting there too long, and that's mildew you've got in there. So what we need to do is take a couple of bags of topsoil, put on there, and replant it.
Okay. Well, absolutely, let's do that. Absolutely. But, okay, so after the seed, going back to my original story, after I put on the seed, and I did put a little bit of topsoil down, but not a lot, obviously. I got some sod at, Home Depot, and I rolled that out. And it seemed like that was working well, but you know what? It's not. It looks really dormant. But I noticed this last winter time that that little section isn't getting sun because that little section had frost.
Oh, okay.
That it was like this perfect little line that was parallel to the sun.
Right.
Coming over my garage, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and that happens sometimes, yeah.
So what do we do?
Well, we move the sun, or we move your garage.
No, I was thinking about tearing down the garage.
Yeah, that could be good.
So,
yeah. I think I can borrow a backhoe.
Oh, okay.
And we'll tear the corner off of your house.
So that's the way to solve it.
Yeah, it'll solve it.
Perfect.
You'll have a great lawn. You won't have much of a garage, but you'll have a great lawn.
So as the show progresses, in the matter of weeks, we'll revisit my little issue, my little problem with my corner grass issue. So
I have one other thing I want to talk about, and this is more on the home repair handyman side.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's have it.
Okay, you ready? I had a friend that was finishing in his basement, and he's putting, 2x4 walls down there and sheetrock and electrical, and he had a friend that came and was doing the electrical for him. He went over to Lowe's, I presume, or Home Depot, and he purchased some electrical wire.
Okay.
And he bought the 12-2 with ground. So that means there's two 12-gauge wires, and it has a ground also. So there's 3 wires in the Romex. And copper wire is really expensive now. Copper's really high. Yeah. And he wired his basement, and then we got into a discussion about 12-gauge versus 14-gauge wire. And now, for those of you that are not aware of what that means.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Yeah, the lower the number, the bigger the wire.
Oh.
It's like golf. The lower the number, the more you win money. So 14 gauge is smaller than 12. But each gauge of wire is made to carry a certain amount of current,
okay,
or amperes. Okay. So 14 gauge will carry 15 amps. 12 gauge will carry 20 amps.
Oh. Yeah, okay. So
that makes sense.
Why wouldn't you want to use a smaller gauge?
Well, here it depends on what you're going to plug into the outlet. If it's for a bedroom and you're just putting a radio in there and a lamp, why, 15 amps and 14 gauge is fine. Plus, you save money. It's cheaper.
Sure.
But if you're going to plug in a compressor or a fridge or a dishwasher, you want the 12 gauge.
And all those things I put in my living room.
Right.
I mean, in my bedroom.
Yeah. If you're going to plug your cat in, why? So here's the point I want to make, though. If you're going to buy 14 gauge,
okay,
then you want to put a 15 amp breaker in the box.
Ew.
If you put 14 amp in the wall and put a 20 amp breaker in the box, you've got trouble.
Really?
Because when that 20 amps goes out on that wire, it's going to burn. It's going to melt the wire.
Wow, that's a big mess.
That's a big mess.
Especially, oh, wow.
Okay, so you have to buy things in a group. 14 gauge wire, you need a 15 amp breaker, and you need a regular 15 amp outlet. Okay? If you buy 12 gauge, then you put a 20 amp breaker in, and you buy a 20 amp outlet. And 20 amp outlets are, if you look at them, you know how they have the double socket.
Yes.
And it has 2 parallel lines. Well, the 20 gauge outlet has a little extra line at a right angle. And that indicates that it's a 20 amp outlet. But they're more expensive. In fact, a regular outlet, a lot of times you can get them for $1.25. A 20 amp, you're going to pay like $4 for.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. But if you plug something in that draws 20 amps, it's not going to melt. Otherwise, you're in trouble. There are things around the house, as an example, a compressor. A compressor, when it starts up, when the first thing you turn it on, the compressor will draw about 17 amps.
Wow.
So if you've got a 15 amp breaker, it's going to throw the breaker.
It will.
Yeah. Now, after it starts up and it runs, it's running, then it only draws about 10 amps. So it's the startup cycle that draws the amperage. Okay. So you need a 20 amp breaker, you need 12 gauge wire, and you need a 12 gauge or a 20 amp outlet.
Oh.
So you're looking at me like we've run out of time. You cut my time. You had trouble, and now you don't want to.
You know what? I have no idea why the show started late. I blame myself. You know, because I always keep pushing buttons, you know, because there's so many buttons that flash, and
I blame you too.
So sorry about the abbreviated show here, folks. Anyway,
next week we'll review this over again. I want to talk to you about GFI outlets. Do you know what they are?
No.
The ones with the little buttons you reset.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's an important subject.
Okay, so more home and garden topics next week on another riveting edition, exciting edition, thrilling edition of Woody's Home and Garden Show. We're going to be at Star Nursery today from noon to 2 at the Sunset location. If you want to drop by and say hi to us. And
please give us some questions on Facebook that we can answer.
Absolutely. It's KDXI. All right, we're done for today. Woody, nice chatting with you.
Okay, let's go out to Sunset.
Okay, perfect.
Out to Star.
All right.